Welcome to Between Friends, a weekly conversation between embroidery friends coupled with an embroidery lesson. I'm Eileen Roche, co-founder of Dime and a longtime machine embroiderer. And I thank you for joining me today. You know, hooping, as maybe we should say, is a necessary evil in machine embroidery. You have to hoop the fabric in order to stitch. And it can be challenging to keep the fabric square and secure in a hoop. Through the years, there have been ingenious improvements to both hoops and techniques. And today we're going to hear from two exciting guests, Reen Wilcoxson of Embroidery Garden and Joanne Banko of Let's Go Sew. They will share their top hooping tips. So let's go ahead and get started with Reen Wilcoxson. Hi, Reen. Oh, she doesn't have any sound. Hang on one second. You're muted. There we
go. Hi, Eileen.
How are you?
Doing great. How about you?
It's just lovely to have you here. I'm so tickled to have her. So we're going to start off. I'm most certainly going to let her talk about hooping and share her great tips. But this week in the mail, I received this adorable gift from Reen. Take a look. Look what she made me. It is the Lifetime Achievement Award of 2025 for embroidery excellence in machine embroidery. Is that adorable? Look how big it is. And it's so stiff. She used our poly patch twill on this side. I'm going to let her tell us all about how she made it. Look at all those little rhinestones all along the border. Isn't that just delightful? Reen, you did a great job. Thank you so much. It was so kind.
Oh, you're very welcome, Eileen. I wanted to make you something, and I started looking around at Dime software for something else, and I saw that trophy, and it was just like, I'm going to do it.
It's adorable. So where's the trophy? I didn't even know we had a trophy.
The trophy is in special effects.
Special effects. Oh, there's great stuff.
The artwork is in there.
Yes. And then you just change it, right? Look at all these.
I basically made an outline. It's basically really a big patch if you think about it. Yeah. I created an outline around it. Right. I used the fiber form for the inside. I put poly patch twill on both sides. That gold is Caesar Aurora.
Oh.
And, cut and stitch, got the rhinestones around there. And the rest I did in the Hoop Designer software.
Oh, I love that. And so for those of you who don't know, Dime partnered with Reen Wilcoxson from Embroidery Garden for our In the Hoop software. It is a fantastic software module that allows you to take, she has, how many templates are in there? Goodness, I don't know.
It's over 200.
Over 200 templates, yeah, that Reen created. Her instructions are in there. I mean, you're going to be able to convert them into almost anything that you want. But you'll be showing us a little bit today, right?
Yeah. A little bit later on.
Okay. I'm just saying hello to folks here. We have Sheila. She's riding and watching in her car, heading back to Florida from Indiana with her embroidery machine in tow. I love that. Fun luggage, right?
Yep.
Mm-hmm. So many folks commenting. Marianne Duplaigel, lovely to have you here. And let's see, Catherine Heller says that Reen was the reason that she bought that software.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, Betty Coley, she loves that software also. It's great. Yeah. Okay, so what are you going to start off with today, Reen?
Well, you want to hear one of my hooping tips? Definitely. All right. So I think it's very important for everyone to know where the center of your hoop is. It really helps you, to get something centered. Mm-hmm. When I hoop something, I really try to get it centered and get it straight in the hoop first, and then you can use some other tools and things to double check. But I like to get something in the hoop centered first. And the best way, I think, let me just change my camera here. When you use the Snap Hoop Monster, use that downloadable crosshair that Dime gives you and hoop any kind of stabilizer that you want. It doesn't really matter. And then go ahead and stitch out that crosshair. Just make sure that you don't move it, that it stays centered in the hoop. You can always, when you go to put on your adhesive what do they call these?
Centering guides, yeah.
You can either use a ruler, and this is where the stitch line actually stopped, and you can just draw it to the inner frame, down here, here, and on both sides, or you can use your pal. And I've got my pal hooked up. I know it's a little bit hard to see because of the coloring of my lights, but here, let me grab. If I put a piece of paper over here, you can see that it.
Sure.
You know what? Let me just turn that light off. That'll help a little bit.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it definitely goes over the top frame.
Mm-hmm.
See it right here. So this is where you're going to put your guides. Make sure that they line up exactly with PAL. And I have a little tip. I haven't put this one on over here yet. My tip is basically don't go peeling off all of this backing. Don't do it, because wherever you lay this thing, it's going to stick. So what I like to do is, here's 0 right here. I'm going to turn it to the back. I'm going to take my scissors and hold on, let me just get up underneath there. And all I'm going to do is cut the backing away from behind the 0.
That's a great tip.
That's the only place that it's sticky. So now when I go to put this down, and make sure your numbers are going towards the inside of the hoop, you just want to make sure that 0 lines up with the PAL line, your laser line. When you get it exactly there, press it down. Now that's staying down right there, and I can work with these ends. I'm going to trim this off. They're longer than they need to be, so I'm going to trim this one off at 12. And then now I can just lift this up, pull off the rest of the backing, and then just smooth it down. And, my 0 stays in place. I'm not messing around with that or anything. Let me go ahead and I'm going to trim this one at 12 also. And then do the exact same thing. Then peel off that backing and just smooth it down. And I think, that's a great way to do it, to make sure that everything stays perfectly straight. And now I know exactly where the center of my hoop is. And I can use those centering guides then later on when I go to hoop something, they're extended out and stuff. So I can get things straight in the hoop. I used to do shirts and stuff. And before, I started learning about dime, which basically was through the magazine back then. Right. I'd have things crooked, or you take it out of the hoop, and so happy I made my husband a shirt, and it's like, oh, it's off center,
I know. So here we have a couple questions. Chris Kavanaugh wants to know, are they reusable?
Well, once you put these down, you can't take them off.
Yeah, they're intended for a one-time use, that you apply them to your hoops and then you leave them there. So it isn't something that you take on and off. Yeah.
Right. And they are just for, centering. These aren't rulers, really.
Yeah, they really are rulers.
Yeah, they're just for centering. Mm-hmm. And you may have the ones that look like this, that, does look like a ruler, or you might have the ones, with the little
with the symbols. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. But it's the same thing. There is a 0 here, and you would just apply them the same way. But knowing where the center of your hoop is, extremely important.
Right. And we designed the ones with the symbols because we found that specifically in the bigger hoops, when you're quilting, and let's say you're advancing the quilt under the needle, and you have your eye on a horizontal seam, and you want to make sure that it hits both sides of the hoop in the same location. Well, those symbols were so much more visible than numbers, and easy to say, oh yeah, hard on the right side, hard on the left side, I'm in a good position. And or was it star and heart, then you knew you had to reposition it. We've also had a lot of people, some people prefer the imperial measuring system, inches, and others prefer metric. Quilters were all about inches, and embroidery designs are all measured in metric, even though you will purchase a design and it will give you both measurements. I can tell you digitizers are working in millimeters. And so we just figured that these symbols kind of gave you the best of both worlds, in the sense it's just a series of lines and symbols that you use as reference points. You're really not measuring.
Right.
You have a ruler that you have made with your own name on it that you can use in the hoop. It's small, but that has numbers on it, and that's for true measuring.
Right. And like I said, if you don't happen to have PAL, you should, but if you don't, you can always just put a ruler down in the hoop and continue that stitched crosshair so that you know exactly where it's going to be on the edge of the hoop.
Exactly. And I'm going to share with you another insider tip on why we don't have marks on the hoops themselves. And the reason for that is when you have fabric inside a snap hoop monster, you may not really be perfectly aligned. Your top frame and bottom frame may not be perfectly aligned. And that's why there aren't numbers on it, because if you don't have all four edges perfectly aligned, then those numbers, if they were printed on the hoop top, on the top of the frame, wouldn't be efficient. They wouldn't be accurate. So that's the reason behind that. Right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Because it's, oh, and one thing about finding the crosshair on the site was a little bit tricky, for me. But if you go to DZG&S and you search centering guide, and then it's right there in the description of the centering guides, where to download. And there are instructions too of exactly how you do it.
Right. And if you have a 6 by 12 inch hoop and the 4x4 design crosshair is the one you downloaded, it's fine. It's still located in the center of the hoop. Use the ruler to extend it like Reen just showed you. You don't have to have the specific crosshair for your specific hoop. You just have to have a crosshair that fits in the hoop, right?
And what I did actually for this one, this is my 8x8 hoop, and you see that it's bigger than 4x4.
Yeah.
You get the C2S file, you can go into free tool shed if you want. And I enlarged it to fit this hoop a little bit more.
There you go. Right.
You just make sure that you keep it centered. Don't, move it around or anything, and it'll be fine.
And in our software, no matter where it is located on the screen, right? Because there's all kinds of options for centering on the screen. When you send it to your embroidery machine, it is going to load in the center of this sewing field. Okay, that's the embroiderable area within your hoop. So it doesn't really matter where it was in the software. The machine is automatically going to land it dead center. And as long as you don't move it there, that's what's important. So don't use your navigation keys to go north, south, east, west, right? And then you're dead center. Yeah.
Yep. Dime made it easy for you.
Right. Super simple. Yeah. So what are you going to show us in software?
Well, okay, so another tip. Let me grab some of my hoops here. So, like a lot of people, I have a bunch of hoops. And, when you buy a new machine, you're only getting 3 or 4 hoops that come with the machine. You're going to get that 4x4. You're going to get a 5x7. And then most of the time you get a bigger one, whatever, the maximum size would be for your particular machine. A lot of times you don't get those in between sizes. And I'm not going to stitch a 6x10 design, which is a very popular size of something for machine embroidery, in my 10.5 by 16 or my 11 by 18 inch hoop. So when you buy a new machine, you got to kind of think you're going to have to get some hoops to kind of fill in. And usually I like a 6x10. I like an 8x8. The square hoops are really nice.
Yeah.
But sometimes you get all these hoops and they kind of all start looking alike. The snap hoop monsters. Let me just get over here. they're not labeled, and I can see why they're not labeled. I particularly am not one to take markers and write on my hoops or put, some kind of a homemade sticker on them. So what I do to distinguish my hoop sizes, because sometimes they start looking all alike. I mean, I have before picked up my 9.5 by 9.5 snap hoop monster, I picked up the 8 by 8 and hoop something, go to my machine, and I get that dreaded change to a larger hoop message. Yeah. And it's because I should have gotten the 9.5 by 9.5 and I picked up the 8 by 8. Mm-hmm. So what I started doing, and I'm just going to take this out of here real quick. These things are strong. So of course you get the little boards that come with them. But what I do is I made these little tags, little tabs to put through the handles to identify all my hoops really easily.
That's great. They're adorable.
Here's the 9.5 by 14, the 8 by 8, the one for the 6 by 10. It kind of goes this way, so it's over here. But these little tabs, you can make them so easily yourself in software, and especially in the Hoop Designer software. So I am just going to go into the software real quick. Whoops, I am going to open up my software. All right, so we're in the Hoop Designer software, and all this is a rectangle. It's made out of something that's non-fraying, like cork or marine vinyl. Snap. So basically, all you need to do, go to the drawing tool up here along the top menu, select a rectangle, and draw a shape. I'm going to select it so that I can come over here in the upper right to this transform button so I can change the size. I'm going to uncheck maintain aspect ratio. And I made mine about 1.5 inches. And I think I made the one I'm going to do, I made it 6 inches, maybe 5.5 inches high. And how do you get these numbers? Basically, you could take a tape measure and just kind of, stick it through that little handle opening and measure how big or how long they actually need to be. So here's the basic rectangle. I'm going to put in my hoop sizes. So I'm going to go up to the text, click in the design space. There are, different, I believe there are 15 fonts to choose from in the Hoop Designer. I want, a pretty basic font for this. And let's say I'm going to do my 6 by 10 hoop. Whoops. And go ahead and hit apply. Changes it to 6 by 10. Of course, this is too big. So I'm just going to select it and then kind of bring it down a little bit. Get it where you want it. Remembering that you're going to put a snap up here and a snap down here. That might be a little bit too big. I'm going to just bring it down a little more. Get it where you want it. There is, your hoop size, whatever you want to put on there. I got to go back to the artwork because it is just a drawing. If I right click on it, convert it to a run. I'm going to make it be a bean stitch. Hit apply. Now you can see over here in the sequence view, both of my objects, my run stitch that's going to stitch this little tab together and my text are both the same color. So I'm just going to pick one of them, come down to the palette, right click on any color to change it. And I'm going to put my text, put it in the order so that it goes to the back and it stitches first. So basically how this would stitch out is hoop your stabilizer, could be tear away, it could be cut away, doesn't make that much of a difference. Put down a piece of marine vinyl or cork that is bigger than what this rectangle is. Have it stitch the first step, which would be the lettering. And then take your hoop off the machine, go to the back side and place another piece of cork or marine vinyl on the back side. And then all you have to do is, do I have you, Eileen? Okay.
Yeah.
Then all you have to do is stitch that last step, stitches it together, take it out of the hoop, trim it around that stitching, maybe about 1/8 of an inch away, and install a snap at the top and the bottom. Boom. You got a little tab marker.
I love it. And they're loving it. They're saying great tip and, great organization idea. Yeah, it's really great.
And then, yeah, you could do so much. I mean, this is such a simple idea.
Yeah.
But what I want to kind of convey to people with In the Hoop Designer software is, okay, you start with something very basic, and then you start thinking, what else can I do with this this very basic thing? Make it a little bit longer. Wrap them around your stabilizer. Put cutaway on here. I would even make them a little bit longer and maybe put 3 snaps maybe, so you can keep snapping it down as you use up your stabilizer.
Yes, very nice.
Take the same idea and you can make a bracelet. You get fancy. I mean, put, some nice little flowers or whatever in there, but start small, start building upon that. This is 2 pieces of, material here. And then you just start building up to something. Now, maybe you're going to turn it,
Right.
That's how I started, within the hoop, started very basic and then moved up to something different.
Right.
That's where everybody's got to start.
Absolutely. Catherine Keller asked, could you put an eyelet on the top and the bottom to make sure that your snap lines up?
Yes, you really don't even have to use like an eyelet. There are built-in eyelets in the software to do, different things, hang things or whatever.
Yeah.
Take that same drawing tool that I did the rectangle and just pick the circle and just make a little circle at the top, a little circle at the bottom. Just have it stitched before the final outline goes around.
Yeah. And then, it'll be covered by the snap, so nobody will be the wiser, but it'll really help you be, perfectly on
right.
Yeah. That's great.
I kind of got off the topic of hooping, but
yeah. Well, it's okay. It's still about hoops. Doesn't everybody want to go to her studio and just see it? I mean, it looks so nice, so organized. Right?
Yeah, it's organized right here.
That's okay. That's all right. That's my mission for my retirement, is to, get my sewing room as efficient and as comfortable as it should have been for the past 30 years. Right? But you have so many projects going on and clearing one out and starting fresh and multiples going on at the same time. So I think it'll be a little bit different in the future. Okay.
And then I have one more tip.
Okay.
And one of my favorite new things are the stable grips. I love these.
Do you?
I do. It's just, it really holds everything, nice and tight in the hoop, your stabilizer, especially the, like water soluble. So I stitched out some of the lace from the Garden Flower Lace collection. Love that. So happy and proud to have done, that collection as a collaboration with Dime.
It's beautiful.
And let me just take one of them off. So let's pretend I haven't stitched anything. And I always use 2 layers of water solid. That's just me. I always do. But you want to make sure that you see the arrow, that the arrow on all of the stable grips points towards the inside. So if I would have had these already on, I like to kind of take it and hold it at an angle, and then I would kind of smooth my stabilizer down. And then you want to, clip it, make sure that it gets clipped on there. Make sure that it's
pushed. Pushed all the way down, right?
Right. You want to make sure it's pushed all the way down, because I want to try and show you this. I don't know if you're going to be able to see it. Let me turn my light back on. Maybe that'll help to see it. You can see it a little bit right here. Notice how, you have your top frame is back here. This is the bottom frame. And with that stable grip clip on here, can you see right here? What I'm trying to show is you can see right here, this is the part of the clip or the grip here, but the stabilizer actually goes through the two pieces. Then when it hits this lip of the grip, the stabilizer kind of goes down inside of there, and that's what holds it so nice and tight. So basically what I'm trying to show you is this lip here on this side. When you attach it to the hoop, and this is kind of hard to show. Let me just move it a little bit over.
That's okay.
But when it gets pushed all the way over, it's like a little tiny bit of the stabilizer gets held by this clip. It kind of makes almost a Z. You know what I mean? Where it goes through and then it goes down and it comes up just ever so slightly. And that's what's holding this nice and tight in here. You can see, how nice my stabilizer looks after I stitched, I think this was almost 40,000 stitches in here.
Wow.
And the back side looks as pretty as the front.
Yeah. Oh, that's beautiful.
And
did you paint bobbin color every time?
Well, on this one, I did. But this one is actually all King Star.
Oh, look at
the
that.
Bobbin. This one has King Star in the bobbin too.
Oh,
this one, gorgeous. I kind of didn't put King Star in the bottom, but I just put a matching color because I did use King Star.
Save your King Star. Sure. Save your King Star.
I was saving my King Star just a little bit there.
I don't blame you. I don't blame you. So how about if we go to the overhead and I'll see if I can get a good shot of, so that I can illustrate. Let me get my little tool. Sorry, hang on. But what Reen was explaining is one leg, there's two legs, right? One leg is longer than the other. And what that one does, it pushes down the stabilizer so that the stabilizer is even with the bottom of the metal frame and not sitting above the metal frame. So that's why you have to follow the arrow direction, making sure that this leg, the long leg, is on the interior of the hoop. And if you put them in place and use them, they are really a wonderful solution. And you know who invented that was Ashley Jones, our software specialist. She is a wizard. As you know, you've worked with her many times, Reen. I mean, the two of you really developed the In the Hoop software together. But, she's not only software, she stitches all the time too. So this was her idea. And we had quite a few rounds of prototypes, but finally we got it. We nailed it. So
it's a great idea.
Yeah, it was really awesome. Really great. She did a great job. Well, Reen, it's so lovely to have you here. And thank you for my Lifetime Achievement Award. That is the kindest, sweetest thing. That really was just lovely. So thoughtful of you.
Well, you deserve it, Eileen. I'm sure you have won awards in the industry and stuff, but I
really haven't. I really haven't. There aren't any awards, but anyway, it doesn't matter. But it should have.
You have one now.
I do have one now, and I'm going to add my business partner, Gary Gardner's name to it, and some of my past assistants and my current assistant, Gloria Cardoza and Nota Roberson. You don't do this stuff alone, right? There's a lot of people that help you. So, and of course, my sister, Marie Zeno, I would have to include her too. So, but anyway, Reen, it's been an honor to work with you all these years, and I've enjoyed watching your business blossom, and we've been blessed to have you join the Dime team and collaborate with us on this beautiful new software and all the collections that you've done. So thank you so much.
Well, thank you, Eileen. And, I want to wish you a happy retirement.
Yeah.
And I truly want to thank you.
Oh, you're so welcome. You really are, Reen. You've been a bright spot in a lot of, we work very hard, Reen and I, everybody in this industry. And it's, what you see here is fun. It's not all fun, right, Reen? So you've always been a bright spot. When I get an email from you, I open it right away. So.
All right. Well, good luck, Eileen, and thanks so much.
Blessings to you, Reen. Thank you. Okay. So Vanessa says she has a couple snap hoop monsters and she's kind of struggling with hooping. So before we bring in Joanne Banko, let's go ahead and do that. So I'm was all set up, well, for the awards ceremony. How cool was that, right? But I'm going to move the totally tubular hooping station, which Joanne Banko and I will use in a little while. But for right now, I'll just go ahead and put a hoop mat down. So Vanessa, you absolutely should have a hoop mat. Dime makes one, OESD makes one. We don't really care whose you have, but you need one. You need a non-slip grip surface so that you can hoop. And you're going to place your bottom frame on a flat work surface, remove that top frame, set it aside. I always set it aside, magnet side up, right? So when I peel it off, I lift it over like this. It just makes it easy to attach later on. Then we remove the magnet shield. Keep that handy too. You might find it helpful for, okay, so I'm just over here grabbing a quilt. Let me see. We got a little quilt here that I can grab. Got a million templates on it, but that's okay. So this is a quilt, kind of a cracker, just the top and the bottom. But let's go ahead and we do have a template right in the middle on these little doggies. But I'm going to take my frame, my top frame, and I'm going to place it perpendicular. Now I want you to remember, here's my attachment, right? So I place my top frame perpendicular to the attachment. I kind of feel for the metal bottom, and then I just drop it. I keep my hands out of the way and I just drop it, just like that. And notice I didn't even spend any time focusing on being square or anything like that. And I could have if I had used PAL, like our friends just talked about. So now let's do it again without PAL. But notice I'm not really that square at all, right? So let's do a better job of that. And you can do that by concentrating on positioning the fabric. And I'm going to fold this fabric. First, I think I'll get rid of this for right now. And I'm going to fold this fabric at this line. And that'll be my straight line, right? So I fold that down and I position that inside the metal frame. Now I know, okay, I'm square to my frame. I open that up, take my top frame, again, perpendicular, matching somewhat, right? It doesn't have to be perfect, but I can feel my metal frame, the dimension of it, the outline of it, and then I just drop it. And now that's pretty square. That's pretty square. So as you can see here, my seam going across here is hitting the line just south of that dot, the round dot, and the same on this side. So I'm happy. I'm ready to go to the machine. Now, when I go to the machine, I'm going to take that magnet shield that comes with your frame. I'm going to slide it underneath my fabric and my hooped fabric and lift the whole thing by that shield. So you can see it's right underneath. And that's how I transport it to the machine. And if this is a garment or a quilt, no matter what it is, I'm going to put all that bulk on top, because when I get to the machine, I want to just feed it right onto the machine. And once I'm engaged into the pantograph, I then, and I'm set, I then open up my fabric and there's my sewing field and I'm ready to stitch. So I hope that helped. Now, if that doesn't help you, we do have another product that I can show you. And this is the hoops have been out over 20 years, but this is a product that we invented just a handful of years ago. And this is Hoop Setter. So it's sold in sets of 2. And it has, it's the same, this channel is the same size as the metal frame. And look at those barrier walls, right? It has 2 barrier walls. So we're going to place them right on the metal frame. And then we'll place our fabric over there. And again, I would do that same thing. I would fold my fabric, finding a reference point, right? I think that's kind of on the seam, pretty close. And I lay it over my frame, aligning that edge, open it up, and I can you can see how this is lifted. That's okay. No big deal. Then I get my top frame. And again, we're going to place it perpendicular. And now it's going to guide right into that opening because those two barrier walls are there. And now it's dropped right in place. Okay. Hope that helped. So let's see what some of your comments are. Donna Marie, you've been embroidering for a few years and you've learned so much and their knowledge and many tips. Thanks. Oh, thank you for the kind words. You bet. And let's see, Linda Brooks, you would love to have hoop setters in your Christmas stocking or any day of the week. Yeah, they are very handy. I think you'll find as you get more familiar with the snap hoop monsters, you'll be able to hoop without them. You'll see. But they are a great learning tool for sure. Absolutely. And Linda Brooks, you put the silicone sheet under your wool mat too. It protects your tables, no harm, no foul. Why not, right? Yeah, and Dee, you appreciate all the cool tools. Well, you know, when I started in embroidery, you know, clearly we're celebrating my retirement, so it's been quite a while. You know, we didn't have any of these tools. We didn't have magnetic hoops. We didn't have rulers. You know, everything was like for quilters, and embroiderers were kind of just winging it. And I mean, we did a whole show on that several months ago. And, you know, that's how Dime really came to be because I was our customer, our consumer. At the time, I was our reader in Designs and Machine Embroidery magazine. So I was struggling. And then I learned that so was everybody else. So that's how we really got on the map, as they say, right? Okay. And Vanessa says, you think you need the no slip mat. You absolutely need the no slip mat. And Vanessa, that works for your standard hoops. I mean, they're worse, right? You're chasing that outer ring. It's flipping all over. Your inner ring is askew. It won't, insert into the outer ring. But those hoop mats work on both standard and magnetic hoops. So I would invest in that. If you have an extra $20, do it. Okay, so let's see. Now it's time for Joanne Banko of Let's Go Sew. So let's welcome in Joanne. Hey, how are you?
I'm great, but look what Reen made me have to go find a tissue. Reen, hugs to Reen, but why'd you have to do that to me? Oh my.
Oh, you're so
sweet. I'm so grateful to you, Eileen, for all the years we've had together and to be able to celebrate your well-deserved retirement with you and everyone that's here. So
thank you so much. And your work through the years is just extraordinary. You know, some of the garments you had in Designs and Machine Embroidery were just, we would drool. We'd open up that box, and then when we took it to the studio, when a gorgeous model, it would come to life, and you are a sewist to the max. So
I appreciate that so much, but I really and truly have learned so much from you. And we were traveling kind of the same road in the early days. And I found your newsletter, and I remember, I had the first machine that ever came out that did sewing and embroidery. And there was I had a little booklet that had pictures in it that came with the machine, but it had absolutely no instructions whatsoever. And you were like, so how do they expect me to do this? And I just, like you said, we just flew by the seat of our pants, and I was teaching at the same time too. And people were like, what, how do we? So your information was always so helpful. And it just always, everything you did was par excellence. And
thank you.
Made me strive for that same level.
Well, thank you. I have my sister Marie, who you know, because when I toured with Marie, we were known as the Stitching Sisters. And that's what Joanne's referring to. We would be on the road together quite a bit. Yeah. And we're going to go through some old trunk show stuff that we're kind of like, oh, I can't believe we stitched this or showed it or taught it. So, I haven't held on to well, I guess we do have a lot of things here, not everything from all the years, but anyway, we'll have a lot of fun looking back at, how did we get away, or why did we even dream up that idea? So
it's so hard to part with all those samples because you put your heart and soul into it, know?
I know. You do.
Yeah.
Someone saying, thank you, Joanne, for all your tips. Chris Kavanaugh, she's learned an awful lot from you. So
thank you, Chris. You know how much I enjoy sharing everything. So thanks, Mary Ann.
Yeah. Oh, and here's a really...
hey, Dawn.
Yeah, she's Creative Appliques used your jacket collection on a custom jacket for her mom. How lovely. That's really sweet.
Well, I'm excited to be able to share some tips that relate to that collection today, because it actually is kind of full of goodies. So let me go ahead. I can share my first one, which is some images of the designs that are included. Great. Okay, that's the wrong one. I need the other one, please. We'll go to that one in a minute. So yeah. So I love to be able to show people that there's always more behind the package, right? You can only put so much print on a package or on a website, and there are really and truly close to 200 designs in this collection. So such a privilege to work with Dime and everybody there. A shout out to Roy too, because he was so helpful in it. And with you, Eileen.
I left him out. I shouldn't have. I left him out earlier. His name should be on that embroidery.
Yeah, he's
lifetime achievement.
Everybody there is phenomenal, but you kind of get the chance to kind of connect with somebody, and Roy's just like a fabulous individual.
Sure, absolutely. Sure is.
But with the idea behind it was to create designs that would work perfectly on a jean jacket, and it was a dream come true for me, because it was something I thought about for a really long time. I think jean jackets beg for embellishment. Literally, they're like, please decorate me.
Blank canvas.
Exactly. And in order to go from blank to beautiful, you need some designs that are going to work. And
what's really nice, can I just interject? What's really nice about them is they have small spaces.
Exactly.
They have yokes. They have the yoke in the back,
colors,
and then the center back. It's not just like a hoodie where it's like, okay, how do we start there, right?
You've got a lot of spots, a lot of places, a lot of spaces. And I never found a collection. Maybe it's out there and I just didn't find it. That's great, Retha. But I never found a collection that had something for all of those spaces. And I just, I wanted to provide that. Now, I've joked in the past that it could be called Just Jackets and More, because it's certainly, the designs can be used on anything and everything you like. Quilt blocks, t-shirts, sweatshirts, home decor. The sky's the limit. But there really are almost 200 designs in there, because aside from the parts that are already put together for you, so all the pieces lined up for you to be able to do collars, cuffs, jacket backs, front yoke, back yoke. There are pieces and parts for everything. So look at those pieces and parts. I don't know about you, but about everybody here, but I love to make my own creations and make something totally new, different, and unique. And when you have the pieces and parts, you can do that. Now, of course, we can do that in software by breaking things apart. But I realized that a lot of times people just want to sit in front of their machine and play. And if you load all these designs right into your machine, you can play all day with these pieces and parts until you get a look that you really like. And of course, it's a combination of embroidery designs and applique. So again, you could do either or both combined. And it's just, like I said, it was a dream come true for me to be able to work with you, Eileen, and with Dime to produce this. And it's a lot of fun to be able to share that. But tip wise, I do have some what I think are kind of almost some back to basic types of tips that relate to that.
Well, hooping is a basic skill.
Absolutely.
You got to nail that first. If you don't,
Yeah. And it's a struggle for a lot of people.
It really is.
I've said it 100 times, Dime by OESD has virtually everything you could possibly ask for to make that task that more enjoyable and easier. But you got to get down to nitty gritty in order to accomplish that. And I'm kind of like a persnickety for perfection type person. I admit that. We all have our little niche, but there's nothing worse than hooping, stitching, standing back and going, oh no, it's a little cockeyed. Should have been this, should have been that.
And you can't get anything behind it once it's down,
Exactly. And we do have the stitch ripper that you provide, but we don't want to use it if we don't have to.
Right. Definitely not. Yep.
So in the other slides, I just have some examples of the actual jackets and what they look like from the beautiful photographs that you had done. So if we bring that one up, I'll just kind of go through those and give share a few tips with that. But that was the earlier slides that were up. But so I know you kind of wanted me to share 3 tips, so I kept it kind of streamlined, and we can do that pretty quick.
I'm just going to interrupt here. Joanne, do you have arrows? Are you able to advance through these slides? You do? Okay. I sure can. Just so I know. Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
So again, another great part of the collection that's not really evident in the images that we saw earlier is the fact that Dime helped me produce designs that are not only big but small. So those little ones on the right hand side, even though they mimic the large designs that fill the back yoke and fill the center back, there are also the little teeny tiny versions, which
is so cute.
Oh my, Dime!
I mean, that's what makes it charming. It
absolutely, those little charm designs. But Dime by OESD is famous for that in the software. All the beautiful software programs that you create are, a lot of them are loaded with those little charms. And in today's world, that's the other thing that I see, that they're, we got big hoops, we got big designs, but not everybody needs or wants big in all those places.
Right.
So
you're a petite person. I'm a petite person. Small is okay on some projects, right?
It's great to be able to have options. You can never have too many options, just like you can never have too many hoops, because then when you're ready to do what your heart desires, you've got the tools there for you. So seeing what Marjorie said, she started early too. Yeah. I know. Dime changed everybody's life. That's for sure.
And Retha Ranke, I'll bet you met her down at Houston that year at Quilt Festival.
Yep, sure did. That was great.
She's either in Montana or Wyoming. I don't remember. But.
Met so many great people there. In fact, the creator of this particular jacket is my friend Cindy King. We met there as well, and she entered this in a contest.
Wow.
And then send it to me so that I can have it. She actually won.
Let's bring you up full screen on that.
So she actually won a contest for this. So look at her. Beautiful. And she definitely got every place and every space covered. So
gorgeous.
Thank you, Cindy. Shout out
to the collar and down the placket. It's really very
she's got it around the bottom too. I can't lift it up, but
that's okay.
Same thing. She knows what she's. I know there's probably lots of beautiful jackets out there, but I hope that it inspires you, Sheila. Thank you for that. It's always great to see what everybody else is doing and designing.
For sure.
So there's the roses. Yeah, I'm a rose lover. I can't grow them, so I might as well stitch them. I just finally dug up my last rose bush because it just wasn't looking too good. But hey, we can always do like Reen said, embroider. We can embroider our garden, right?
That's right. That's right. Embroider garden, aptly named, blooms all the time.
Yep. All those little parts that those little charm designs are just so much fun. And then I'm wearing the red, white, and blue. I think there's probably never been a prettier color combination than red, white, and blue. It always looks classy and rich, and it's fun to do stars in all kinds of colors. I know you gave me the idea of doing it in jewel tones. Yeah. So that's another great option. But if you're going to accomplish quality jacket back, front and back yoke, get those charm designs in the right place, you have to have the right tools and the right products. So my tip number 1 is tool shed plus template paper, which print and stick target paper is
Yeah.
I love this new size because I can do things that are bigger without having to print multiple templates and paste them together and all that. So, you know, this is a terrific, terrific new size. And when you download Toolshed, obviously, I know a lot of people are already familiar with it. Ashley's done so many great shows with that. But I still find people in my world that I'm teaching that are like, no, I don't have any software, or unfortunately, they buy this from all over the place, and they're all too complicated. So you have to start somewhere.
Yes.
Start with Toolshed. If you haven't, started at all, start with Toolshed.
And it's free.
Exactly. I mean, Eileen, what Dime by OESD is providing for the embroidery enthusiast with that is priceless. And it doesn't cost you anything, but what with that, and all you got to first just learn how to print templates, because you can get perfect placement with templates no matter what machine you have, because you have a life-size accurate image of the design before you stitch it. It's the next best thing to testing. And sometimes we need to test a design to see if the combination is going to work. But and besides that, templates with the reusable print and stick target paper means that you can do combination designs. So I've got, some pictures of this. I printed that out. I'm going to start with the center. That's another one of my tips. I like to work, if I'm going to do a bigger design than one hoopful. And by the way, this will, all of these designs in there, you could create combinations for larger hoops, that you can use your 5x7 to start with. And when you do that, I like to start in the center and then work to the right, to the left, to the right, to the left, or up, down, so that, you're lining things up as you go, because we all know we don't live in a perfect world, and it's all about the final look, and what your eye sees as centered is going to be based on that kind of adjustment as you go along. Is that something that you kind of follow that rule too?
Absolutely. All the time.
Yeah. And I know you've always been a big fan of templates. I've got, I remember your templates when you first created those, and nobody even was like, what are these? Why do we need these? But now we can print our own. And
so long ago.
It's to me, it may be a little bit like, we might have projectors, you might have cameras, this, that, but there's still nothing quite like auditioning with that template. Another thing you taught me that is so simple, but I do this all the time. I put something on my dress form. I put the blank on my dress form, and I just pretend I'm going to stitch it by sticking those templates on there.
Yeah, because you want to see, is it going to be flattering on the figure?
Exactly. Yeah. And
the cameras and the projectors that are on many top of the line machines are fabulous features. They really are. But you're already hooped when you're using that.
Exactly.
So if you're working on a front yoke, which is just like a small area, right? Let's say about 8 inches, by 6, I'm guessing. And, you kind of need to know where that center is, because once you're hooped, you can't really identify it anymore. So I do depend on those features because I have them, but I start with a template always.
Yeah. And what if you change your mind? You look at that and you go, oh, no, that's a little bit too big for that. Well, I'd rather do it before I stitch rather than after.
Exactly.
After the fact. Yep.
Or, like on a yoke. Now, if the collar is going to cover, an integral part of the design, you're not going to know that in hoop, because you have that out of harm's way, right? You only know that when it's on figure or on a dress form. So,
and just like Reen was talking, using software, you're going to be able to try your design in the hoop before you even hoop your fabric. Now, how many of us have gotten to the machine and we get that dreaded, oh, sorry, you can't stitch this in that hoop. And you've already done all your placement and that's where, again, you can do all that preliminary planning. So, couple tips on templates. I know we all have our own little tricks and ways to do it, but and sometimes I will cut a template out around the shape, but more often than not, I will actually create a squared off piece, because that gives me something to help level, whether I'm doing it above a pocket, above a yoke, on a placket, wherever that's going.
Right.
You know, generally speaking, or on a quilt block, we're trying to fit within some parameter that is visually very obvious. So I might just cut this with my rotary cutter, that I keep a paper one for that one made for paper, but you can just draw the lines with your favorite ruler and then cut it out, and then you've got a perfectly, shaped piece. Of course, you know how much I love the pail in combination with a sticky hoop, and I call the sticky hoops the half hoops. And every hoop has its place. That's why I say, don't shortchange yourself. Get the hoops that are available for your machine. Build your stash of hoops, and when you need it, it'll be there for you, because you're going to go one day, you're going to go.
Yeah, these are your tools. Like, think of a woodworker, right? When you go into a woodworker shop, they have bits and saws in all different shapes, sizes, and diameters, and I don't even know, right? Because I don't do that. But they don't hesitate to buy the right tool for the job, and you shouldn't either. These hoops are going to last through the life of your embroidery hobby, and they're fabulous. I mean,
absolutely.
I wouldn't be embroidering if we didn't invent them. I can tell you that.
And it's, it's all about easy equals enjoyment in my book, so if, you're struggling with something, you go, is there an easier way to do this? Well, yeah, this would be easier. And then you're going to enjoy it more. So it works really, really good on awkward items. So that was hooped, with the pail for the alignment. And then now we can take advantage of our extra bells and whistles that we have on the machine. If you have a laser, fine, go ahead and use your laser. But again, I know a lot of people, we all have to start somewhere, and we don't all start with the top of the line. And, we may move up, whatever. That's the great thing, again, about options of machines available in all the brands that are out there. And you buy what's going to fit your budget at the time and work with the tools that you have. But again, with the pail, with the templates for placement, and every machine that I've ever seen, tell me if I'm wrong, but I think every machine that I've ever seen has the ability for you to pinpoint where the center is, and then choose those other spots by, using your north, south, east, west arrow keys, the trial feature, which it's called a variety of different things, but you can pinpoint the center, and everything is going to be lined up perfectly. There again, I could create a large combination design with the means of that beautiful laser, and adjusting it wherever it needs to be just gives you that. But see, there, what I did is I double checked myself. Now I'm used to hooping, and I'm I've done it a lot, but
I double check all the time.
Yeah,
for sure.
I mean, better safe than sorry stitching, right?
Right. Because again, you're all lined up under PAL and so forth, but now you're going to transfer that to the machine, and you got to get it under the foot, and arms are flapping and collars are in the way. And so you got to get all that cleared out. So you've made quite a bit of changes, or a lot of movement anyway. Now, most likely the sticky stabilizer is going to hold everything in place, but why find out later that it didn't when you can find out first, right?
And I love too the fact that Dime by OESD has two types of sticky stabilizer. So the tearaway one works fine. I use it a lot. But if you're really working on something where you want, all that paper to be gone, then you just switch to the water soluble one. Again, I mean, we have so many great tools available from your site. It's just
I'm just going to interrupt just for a moment and answer Gail Hank. So she says, can we use the magnetic strips that Reen showed on a magnetic frame. So I just want to explain, Gail,
Sure.
they're not magnetic. They're adhesive. They're just paper with an adhesive backing, and they're centering guides that you adhere to the top of a snap hoop monster, the teal top. They also come with a sticky hoop, and you would adhere that to the metal bottom. And we'll show you some of that in a little bit. But they're not magnetic. They are adhesive centering guides. I think that's what you're talking about, but maybe you're talking about the grips, right? Is she talking about the
think
grips?
she might be talking about the grips. Gail,
Yeah.
let us know what you're looking for there.
And then we'll jump back in and clarify that. So sorry.
Yeah,
Sorry to
that's
interrupt,
okay.
Joanne.
No, but so there it just goes to show you with, again, using templates, using that pail for alignment. You look at that and it looks pretty good to me. I mean, it just gives you the opportunity to go big, even if your hoop size is not big.
Right.
And building big embroidery is fun.
I think we should encourage everybody that those with midline or even, entry level machines that don't have the giant hoops and so forth, you can do everything that the owners of these top of the line machines can do. It just takes you several more steps.
Exactly. Exactly.
My motto, skills, right?
My motto on my website is that I want to help you make the most of your machine. And whether that means what you currently have or what you're going to have in the future or what's on your wish list, I want to help you make the most of it. So,
sure. Yeah. Good.
So this is a trip down memory lane. And it's just, once again, software and templates allow you to create combinations. But the other tip is that, if you have bigger hoops, think about using your Toolshed software to combine designs and create something that is already, going to take up only one hooping now instead of two. And I believe this was the very first article that I was privileged to do for the Designs and Machine Embroidery magazine.
It's gorgeous. Just beautiful.
Yeah. So there again, if you like to sew and then, sew from scratch, I love to embroider first and sew second. So when I do that, just a little explanation of the tip here is buy excess yardage. You can always take your pattern and lay it out and do a mock layout to see how much, but then cut oversized pieces and then go ahead and do all your embroidery, lay your pattern on there. And in the case of something like this, I was able to minus the hem allowance, lay it right along that bottom scallop, and then all I had to do was sew the side seams. And you can always adjust side seams. I found one of the trickiest things when you're doing borders is getting that border to be the exact size of whatever that pattern piece is.
Garment. Yeah.
So, hey, if it's not the exact same size, just,
add
a little bit. Make it a little smaller, make it a little wider, just make it work.
Probably make it a little wider.
Yeah. That can't hurt.
Can't hurt.
It can't hurt. And you can always shape it. But I do love to sew. And I do love to embroider, and my machines get heavy use on both sides. So it's
So here, Retha Ranke says that she embroidered an eye design on the front, probably a yoke, stitched it, and the collar covers it up. You'll do it once, right? You'll make that mistake once, and you'll never make it again. Wouldn't you agree?
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. I don't know if there's any questions here, but that's about all that I had to share with you. I'm so grateful for all the time that we've spent together, for all the opportunities that you've given me. And
you're so welcome.
I just wish you all the very best and happiness in all you do.
Thank you so much. I've been so blessed to be in this industry. It's a kind industry. It's full of people who are enjoying what they do, and they're charitable people, right? So many of us. sew for others, for other causes. And so it's a happy place. It really is. And it was a blessing to live in this industry and thrive. So I'm very grateful to many people. And you're one of them, Joanne. Thank you.
Well, Eileen, you took it to a level that I don't think we would be at without you. And I mean that. There are people like you that make the difference in so many lives. And it's evident here by all the comments, you know.
Oh, thank you. So sweet, really so sweet. And so many nice comments. Yeah, absolutely. So I guess, shall we show Gail what those stable grips were? Are they still around?
Sure.
Yeah, I hear it. Oh no, that's Hoop Setters. Oh, goodness gracious, what did I do with it? Well, I hear it. Joanne, you dance and I'll walk across the room.
Okay, that's okay. I'm just looking at all the great comments. Boy, Deborah says she's learned a lot by all her mistakes. And Vanessa says all mistakes are learning opportunities. That is absolutely true. When, you know, you said before, you hope you don't do it again. Well, you know, another little tip, if I could add another one, would be to keep a little notebook for yourself. I think a lot of times, many of us are making something and giving it away. Now, it's easy to take a picture these days, granted, but a lot of, if anybody's like me, I'm brushing my teeth and the last few stitches are going in the hoop while I'm getting ready to go to the party or whatever. But, you know, try to document all of your projects in some way, shape, or form. I think when you go back and you look on it, you're gonna learn from yourself, even, because we all have that opportunity to, what is it, that turn a happy accident, turn an accident into a happy accident. And if you don't record it, if you're anything like me, you're going to come back and go, how did I do that last time? What did I do right? What did I do that could have been improved? And, in the sporting world, that's pretty common. They'll go back and, we don't focus on whatever maybe was the glitch, but just say to yourself, okay, what made this better? And then if you can record that in some way, next time you're going to be able to do that. Barbara Jones says she's going to embroider a cover for her new Oops book. Yeah, record the oops as well as the yays, and you'll be glad you did.
Absolutely. Okay, so I'm back, and I happen to have a kind of in progress zipper bag in my office, so I ran over and grabbed it. So here we have this is the stable grip that Reen was explaining earlier, and it has two legs, one that's short and one that's a little bit longer, and it has an arrow. So when we position it on the hoop, we do it so that the arrow is pointing into the interior of the hoop. And it's not magnetic, it's steel. And that's why it snaps to the magnetic top, right? So we place that down and then we just give it a little push. And that now makes the stabilizer flush with the bottom of the hoop. Otherwise, it's lifted above just a little bit. And that makes it really nice and taut in the hoop. So that's what she was referring to there. Okay. I think that handles that.
Those are
right?
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Absolutely wonderful.
Yeah. Anyway, Joanne, thank you. It's been such a joy. And I know that I'll probably see you in the future for sure.
Absolutely.
We're not saying goodbye forever, right?
Absolutely. We'll definitely keep in touch. But thank you so much to Dime by OESD for inviting me for this special occasion.
Couldn't do it without you, sweetheart. Really.
You're a great lady.
Okay. Same to you. Take care.
Hugs to everyone. Happy stitching.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, you wouldn't really know it, but today's program was brought to you by the Totally Tubular Hooping Station, and it's on sale this week for $99.99, and it is a great tool. As you can see, there's a t-shirt hooped on that image, and it's called Totally Tubular because it's really helpful for hooping tubular things. So what's a tubular thing? A t-shirt, a tote bag, a onesie. That's what's tubular. Finished goods that we slide over our body, right? Or something we put, we put things into, like a tote bag. But because it's a cantilevered base, and let's go ahead, I have it right over here. We can take a look at it, clean up my little mess here. You can see that it has, comes with 2 hoop mats. It comes with the 8 by 13 for the top, and it also comes with a same white with blue for the bottom, which is 13 by 13. Now I'm sitting it on my pink hoop mat right now, but notice it's cantilevered. Look at all this space I have here. So if I were to slide a garment over it, it would easily slide in place. And I do have a jean jacket that I was going to kind of show with Joanne, but her images were so great. But I can go ahead and close it up so that it is tubular, right? Because when we wear a jean jacket, it's closed and it does become tubular. So I'll just button these couple buttons and then you can see what we're talking about. And so if I was going to do the jacket back, I would literally just dress this board. You know, I already have a pin in the center and I could just dress that board and add my hoop. Of course, I don't have a hoop. So let's go ahead and get a hoop on there. We're going to flip it over. Yeah, we're going to flip it over so that we have the, we'll keep it on the 8-inch. That'll be good enough. And I have a sticky hoop. So I'm just going to take this sticky hoop and remove that protective paper and slide this garment right over that board. Now it's sticky, so I have to lift the garment a little bit. And let's see, I think my sleeve is caught here. There we go. And there I am dead center. Now, theoretically, I would have done this before and I would have put my template in place. Here's Joanne Banko's yoke, right, design. But I rearranged that flower in the center in my software. I just flipped it around so it's going vertical, that center flower, because it was going to the side, because it was designed for a yoke. And now I'm ready to just go right to the machine. Remember, this is a sticky hoop, so I can just take my magnet shield underneath, slide it right on between the totally tubular hooping station and come right off that board, and I am ready to go to the machine. Now, I had buttoned this jacket to show you the tubular ability of the totally tubular. So now I'll unbutton it because that's what I would do if I was actually going to go to the machine, right? And with everything still in place, we can go ahead and flip that over, and then we're ready to go to the machine. Everything keep out of harm's way, those sleeves and the front. So that's our totally tubular hooping station, which is on sale today. And we hope that you take advantage of that price. So next up, well, we love it when you subscribe to our Facebook and YouTube. You know, even though Between Friends will eventually end sometime this summer, there'll still be an awful lot of activity and educational content provided to you by Dime. So we hope that you will like us on Facebook or subscribe to YouTube so you can be notified as to what's coming up, right? Okay, and July, next week, we're at Bernina University in Salt Lake City. So there will not be Between Friends on Thursday, but it's my hope that I can broadcast live at 1 o'clock on Friday from the show floor in Salt Lake City. Now, we're going to try our best, but you know, it's a little spotty sometimes in hotels and on trade show floors. So we're going to do our very best to get the greatest broadband reception that we can so that we can show you everything that's new at BU. Otherwise, I'll see you shortly after. Ashley Jones will be back on July 1st for Software Success, and you can catch her at 1 o'clock Central Time. And then on July 10th, we're going to have Between Friends. Well, not really. We're going to have Between Sisters. I'm going to have my Stitching sister, Marie Zeno, join me for the afternoon. She's actually going to fly into Dallas, so we'll be here together in the studio. That's a first. We haven't done that together here in Dallas, in 100 years. So that'll really be a lot of fun. She's going to teach me all about retirement because she's been retired for quite a while. But we're going to have a fun look at the history of Stitching Sisters and Dime and the magazine. And it should be a blast. And if you ever took a class from us, you know there's a lot of laughter that goes on. So I hope that you'll join us on the 10th. And outside of that, I'd like to say thank you so much for joining me today. Thank you, Reen Wilcoxson. Thank you, Joanne Banko. You have really made Dime the company that it is today, and we are honored to be associated with you. And on a personal basis, it's been an absolute joy to work with both of you. So we'll see you next week. Take care, everyone. Happy stitching.